back to LA with a record of 8-10. Now, I got to be honest with you. This was a very boring game. I did not watch majority of the game. With that being said, I kind of boycotted the game. So we're going to go over the stats. We're going to go over team stats because the game is still currently being played. The Indiana Fever beat the sleaze off the Los Angeles Sparks. Kelsey Mitchell got the stat pattern again. It was really just not a very entertaining game. Now, we do know the current state of the team and how people feel about Caitlin Clark. And to me, we still don't have a clear-cut answer as if Caitlin Clark.
The silence in the arena was louder than any crowd noise could have ever been. Dearica Hamby looked around at the thousands of empty seats and realized the brutal truth of the WNBA business. Without the Golden Girl on the court, the energy had vanished, leaving the Sparks to suffer in a hollow shell of a stadium. It wasn't just a loss on the scoreboard, it was a total collapse of the hype that had been carrying the league all season long. The realization hit her like a freight train as the scoreboard ticked away toward a blowout. The ghost town atmosphere was a slap in the face to every pro on that floor who thought they were the main attraction.
Now, I'm telling you right now, the media is going to have a field day with this one because they beat the sleaze off the Sparks. And what they going to say, what they love to say, exactly what they said last year, they look so much better without Caitlin Clark. The game flowed better without Caitlin Clark. Less turnovers without Caitlin Clark. I'm just letting y'all know right now how this is about to go. Now, this is the second consecutive game that the Indiana Fever has scored over 100 points in the game. So shout out to them for that. But, you know, this is just one of them videos to where, like, I'm still kind of mad about the Alyssa Thomas situation.
The Indiana Fever walked into Los Angeles and didn't just win. They absolutely dismantled everything the Sparks tried to build.
Now, in other news, y'all notice Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas situation is still going strong. So we got, oh, wow, Lisa Leslie. Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Everyone is asking the same question, where was Caitlin Clark? Her absence felt like a void. The arena proved the point better than any spreadsheet ever could. The Sparks were left playing in what felt like a high school gym scrimmage rather than a professional primetime game. This is the nightmare scenario the league's accountants have been losing sleep over since the season began earlier this year.
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, I think the WNBA, and therefore I guess frankly the biggest star that their league has ever seen. So I want all of us to put our feelings aside for a second and simply look at the facts. Look at this from a business perspective. Since she was drafted in 2024 out of Iowa, Caitlin has the most jersey sales of any basketball player in the world except for Stephen Curry. Yes, even more than LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo or Victor Wembanyama. A woman
in a building that feels like it has been completely abandoned. The pride of the Sparks was on the line, and they were failing the test in total isolation.
Caitlin has the most jersey sales of any basketball player in the world except for Stephen Curry. Yes, even more than LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo or Victor Wembanyama. A woman has the most jersey sales, second only to Stephen Curry. And frankly, that is something that nobody could have ever even predicted, dreamt of, anything. So what?
And an identical 56% from behind the three-point arc. It was a shooting clinic that made the Sparks defense look like they were standing in quicksand for 40 minutes. Kelsey Mitchell was the primary architect of this destruction, carving through the lane and hitting deep shots with ease. They didn't just beat the Sparks, they took their lunch money and walked away laughing while the arena staff started cleaning up early.
An average of 356% across the board, from minimum to maximum to average, 356%. The salary cap for each team is through the roof also, from $1.5 million a year to $7 million a year salary cap. That's up 367%. Now, is all of that just because of Caitlin Clark? Of course not. There's several bona fide superstars in this league. The list is long, but the numbers don't lie. The impact of Caitlin, since she came into the league in 2024, it is global. And that's a win. That's awesome for a league that has struggled a lot. They needed to be subsidized by the NBA.
Now, the vultures are starting to circle with a narrative that is going to set the internet on fire. People are already whispering that the Fever looked much better without Caitlin Clark on the floor. They pointed to the ball movement, the reduced turnovers, and the overall flow of the offense as proof that the rookie might be a distraction. It is a dangerous game to play, suggesting the team's biggest star is a hindrance. But after a 111-point performance, the critics have all the fuel they need. The media is going to run with this story until the wheels fall off the bus.
That's awesome for a league that has struggled a lot. They needed to be subsidized by the NBA and private investors for all these years, and they still do to an extent. So why do the players hate her? Is it because she's white? Is it because she's straight? Is it because she's white and straight in a league that is predominantly black and gay and super woke? I mean, I'm not sure any of those things are true. Any players would admit it if they were true, but it feels that way, and it's hard to believe they don't impact the vitriol that does come her way. And by the way, I am totally fine with the punishment the league gave to Alyssa Thomas. She did not choke Caitlin Clark. She was aggressive. She crossed the line. So
Kelsey Mitchell ended the night with 26 points in just 26 minutes of play, an efficiency that is almost unheard of in this league. But some observers are calling her a stat padder, noting how she seemingly made it her personal mission to rack up assists and points against a demoralized opponent. There is a certain edge to her game lately, almost as if she is trying to prove her own worth amidst the constant Clark conversation. She is making it her business to ensure her name isn't forgotten in the shuffle of the new era, even if it means running up the score in a blowout.
To Alyssa Thomas. She did not choke Caitlin Clark. She was aggressive. She crossed the line. So
Whoa.
a flagrant 2 and a 1-game suspension
She definitely
is fair,
choked
but that's
her, bro.
There's always bitterness when a transcendent player essentially takes over a league like Caitlin Clark has obviously done. But man, I really hope that going forward, her opponents and their coaches, opposing coaches, just do your jobs. Just try to beat her. But to villainize her and in some cases try to hurt her isn't just cheap. Or just very telling about the character of those players, which I believe is true. This is stupid. It's bad business to try to take out the most popular player your game has ever.
Let's talk about those attendance numbers because they are genuinely terrifying for the league's front office. When the Clark effect is in full swing, arenas are selling out months in advance, with ticket prices skyrocketing to thousands of dollars. But for this game, it looked like you could have fired a cannon through the stands and not hit a single soul. This is the dark side of relying on one superstar to carry the entire league's relevance. When she is out, the bubble doesn't just leak, it bursts entirely, leaving the product exposed for everyone to see. The lack of depth. The Los Angeles Sparks are now sitting at a record of 8-10, and the wheels are officially coming off the wagon. They came into this game hoping to find some momentum, but instead they found a buzzsaw that cut them to pieces. Getting beat by nearly 30 points at home is the kind of loss that breaks a team's spirit for the rest of the season. They had no answers for the Fever's speed or their spacing, and the lack of crowd support only made the uphill battle feel even steeper. It was a total system failure that will be hard to recover from in the standings. One of the biggest criticisms of the Fever this season has been their high turnover rate, often blamed on Clark's aggressive passing style. But in this game, they brought those numbers way down, finishing with only 12 total turnovers. This is exactly what the anti-Clark crowd is going to latch onto for the next week. They will argue that the game slows down and becomes more manageable without the constant pressure of a transcendent star. It is a simplified view of basketball, but in the court of public opinion, simplicity usually wins the argument and fuels the fire. From a business perspective, the WNBA is in a precarious spot. Caitlin Clark has the most jersey sales of any basketball player in the world right now, second only to Steph Curry. That is a level of fame that transcends the sport. Yet, her peers often seem to resent her for the attention she brings. The ratings are up 170% because of her. Yet, the atmosphere at this Sparks game suggests that the fans are there for the person, not necessarily the league itself. That is a massive problem for long-term sustainability. That if the other players can't keep the crowds coming, you have to wonder what the locker room vibes are like for the Sparks after a beating like this. Dearica Hamby is a competitor who wants to play on the biggest stage, and this was anything but that. When you are an elite athlete, playing in an empty arena feels like a regression to the days before the league was a global phenomenon. The frustration isn't just about the score on the board, it is about the feeling that the progress they have worked so hard for is fragile and dependent on a single rookie. The weight of that realization is heavy on every veteran's shoulders. All of this is happening under the dark cloud of the Alyssa Thomas situation that has polarized the fans. The league is still reeling from the physical and verbal vitriol directed at Clark in previous games. There is a sense that some players are being very unsmart about how they handle the biggest star the league has ever seen. Instead of embracing the tide that lifts all boats, there seems to be a concentrated effort to pull the star back down to earth. But as this empty arena showed, that might just end up sinking the whole ship, and everyone on board with it. The irony is that all these players are benefiting financially from the very star they seem to clash with. The salary cap has jumped from $1.5 million to $7 million, a massive 367% increase. Players' salaries are up across the board, and the new collective bargaining agreement is a direct result of the massive influx of cash Clark brought to the table. Yet, on the court, the annihilation of the Sparks felt like a team trying to prove they didn't need the hype to be relevant, only to fail miserably when the lights were actually on them. There is a conversation happening behind the scenes that most people are too afraid to touch. Is the resentment toward Clark about her race, her sexuality, or just her sheer popularity? In a league that is predominantly black and gay, a straight white woman becoming the face of the sport was always going to cause friction. But when that friction leads to empty arenas and blowout games, it becomes a business disaster. The players are at a crossroads where they have to decide if they want to be right or if they want to be successful and profitable in the long run. During the game, it felt like the Sparks had given up long before the final whistle blew. They were out-rebounded 41 to something much lower, and their defensive rotations were non-existent. It was as if they were distracted by the lack of energy in the building and the overall sense of apathy from the city. When you don't have a roaring crowd to feed off of, you have to find that internal fire, and the Sparks were bone dry tonight. They couldn't get anything going on the offensive end, and their frustration led to sloppy plays and missed assignments everywhere. The Fever, on the other hand, looked like a team that had found a new gear. This was their second consecutive game scoring over 100 points, a feat that shows their offensive potential is through the roof. They were moving the ball with purpose and finding the open man every single time the Sparks' defense collapsed. It is the kind of performance that makes you question the hierarchy of the team and how they will integrate Clark back into the flow without losing this newfound rhythm. The coaching staff has a major headache brewing despite the huge win. The coaches are also under the microscope here. How do you motivate a team to play hard in a game that feels like it is being played in a vacuum? The Sparks coaching staff looked just as bewildered as the players as the lead ballooned to 20, then 30 points. On the other side, the Fever's coaching staff is going to have to navigate the media storm that is surely coming tomorrow. They have to protect their star while acknowledging that the team just played their most efficient game of the year without her. It is a balancing act that could define their season. That we have to remember that the impact of what is happening in the WNBA is now global. People in other countries are buying Clark jerseys and tuning in to see the drama unfold. But if they tune in and see a blowout in an empty stadium, they are not going to stay for long. The product on the court has to match the hype off the court, and right now, there is a massive disconnect. The Sparks getting annihilated wasn't just a bad game, it was bad for the entire brand of women's basketball at a time when they can't afford any negative press. There was a moment in the game where Dearica Hamby took a physical stumble, and it served as a perfect metaphor for the Sparks' entire night. They were off balance from the jump and never found their footing. For a player of her caliber to be struggling in a game with zero atmosphere is a testament to how much the environment matters to the pros. You could see the it factor was missing, and without it, the game devolved into a boring, lopsided affair that even the diehard fans struggled to watch. It was a tough night for the city of Los Angeles. As we get ready for the next round of games, the reports coming out of WNBA media are going to be brutal. They are going to analyze every minute of this game to prove their preconceived notions about team chemistry and star power. The haters are going to have a field day, pointing at the box score and the attendance sheet as evidence that the league is in trouble. It is a toxic cycle that doesn't seem to have an end in sight as the league struggles to find its identity in this high-pressure, high-stakes new world of professional sports. The warning to the players and the league is clear: stop the bad business decisions before they destroy everything you've built. Trying to villainize or hurt the most popular player in the game's history is a self-destructive path that only leads to ruin. The empty arena in Los Angeles should serve as a wake-up call to everyone involved in the WNBA. You can have all the talent in the world, but if nobody is there to watch it, the league returns to the days of needing to be subsidized just to stay afloat. It is time to be smart about the future. Ultimately, this game was a glimpse into a reality that many fans are not ready to face. The WNBA is at a turning point where the drama off the court is starting to overshadow the talent on it. Dearica Hamby and the Sparks learned the hard way that, without the magic of a superstar draw, the game can become a lonely, painful experience. The Fever might have won the battle today, but the league is still fighting a war for its own soul. It is time to put the egos aside and focus on the game before the stands go completely silent forever.